Some of the material that we're going to be looking at in this course are things that you've seen before, so they'll be review topics. But as you moved from the junior school into the middle school, sometimes the vocabulary and the way that things are written can change. So even though it's the same math, it may have a different name, a slightly different name. Okay, so always pay very close attention to the vocabulary as we go through these. It's going to make your life so much easier if I say the word integer and you know that that means the whole numbers and their opposites, right? Or another way of saying that is the positive numbers and negative numbers. Either way, right? It means the same exact thing. All right? Do we agree? So pay close attention to the vocabulary as we move forward. Also, if we go through a topic that you already know, try to avoid being bored and say, oh, well, I already know this. I don't have to listen to this. I don't want to do this. Instead, just be happy that we're doing something easy because it's not always going to be that way, right? It's good to have something that's easy occasionally to break up the new material, right? So be careful. Don't fall into the trap of, oh, I know this. I don't have to pay attention because I've done this before, right? So be really careful about that. There are going to be times you do it, and I know it's not as exciting to do stuff you've already done before, but it's life. Get used to it. You're doing a number section now. I already told you. You'll do numbers in year 7, and number in year 8, number in year 9, number in year 10. Okay? So you're going to see a lot of repetition. But that's good. It makes you really focus. And each time, we'll just be building on new layers. That's meant to be a comfort for you, right? So you have some comfort. I know this stuff, and now I can build on it, right? Okay? So keep that in mind as we go. I don't want to lose you because you're bored, okay? All right, so let's go. So you haven't seen Education Perfect then, have you, yet? All right, some of you may have used it in the past. Now, Education Perfect is just at educationperfect.com. So you can go to Education Perfect, and then you'll log in. Okay, this one is actually the teacher page. So yours is going to look different from this. Yours is just going to have some boxes with which classes you're enrolled in. And you'll probably have several. Language arts uses this, science uses this. So have you been using it in your other classes yet? Not yet? Yes.
The streets on freeze.
There you go. You're not looking at anything, are you? Thank you. Okay. There we are. How's that? Thank you very much. So you'll see it has some buttons at the top, and again, where I have information, you're going to have some boxes with all your classes in them, right? So it's going to look a little different. It'll look kind of like this, but not quite. See how you have the different classes listed. All right, so it looks something like that, but not quite. So it's just educationperfect.com, and we're going to make sure that everybody can get on before we leave today. So we'll be using our laptops a little bit at the end. Now, you have access in Education Perfect to every level of mathematics that from junior school all the way to the senior school. And it's all in the content library. You'll see a section labeled Maths, and here it is. There's the skills, there's the NCEA, which is the senior level. NZC means the New Zealand curriculum, so this is where we'll be working, right? And there are different levels. At year 7, you're expected to be working around a level 4. So that's where we're going to focus, on level 4. Now, but not all of you have the same backgrounds, right? So some of you might need to drop down and look at some things in level 3 just to refresh yourself or to learn if there's something you've never seen before. Some of you are a little more advanced and might want to bump up to level 6 and look at, or 5 or 6 and look at some of those topics. That's perfectly fine. It's good. I don't want you getting bored, and I don't want you to feel like you're working way below where you should be, right? Year 7s, a lot of you are new, and all of you are new to us, so to the middle school, so we don't really know where you are. So you'll be working at lots of different levels, and you'll be mixed together right now. So you're welcome to go forward, drop down a little bit. But what I really want you to make sure is that you can work at the level 4. So we will really be concentrating on keeping you at that level. Yeah? Okay? Now, if you do decide to go on and look at some level 5 or some level 3 stuff to help you out, make sure you're doing the same topic. Let me show you what I mean by that. So, for example, if we go to factors, multiples, and primes, which is what we're going to look at today, if you're going to be doing multiples, for example, multiples and primes is only level 5, but that's okay. You won't notice it. But usually there'll be more levels here, so 3, 4, 5, whatever. And that's where you can choose your levels. So we're going to be this one. Some of the topics are going to be at. You're kind of an in between, so you'll be at level 4, level 5. Okay. All right. Yes. You bet. That's what I'm showing you. So you can go anywhere you want to. Just go to that content library and look at it. But what I do want you to do, let me pick a better example. Let's say, let's just go for this one because it'll just give me something, I think. No, it's giving me level 5 again. That's pretty funny. Hold on. So, if you want to jump up or you want to go back, that's fine. Just make sure that when you do, you're staying on the same topic. If we're working on equations, I don't want you going to patterns. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay? Just as long as it's at the same topic level, it's fine. Okay? All right. Now, when we do an assessment, the assessments are going to be focused on on grade level. Okay, so that's why it's really important that you've done that. Even if you do decide to do more, that's fine. But make sure that you have at least done the grade level stuff so that you know what's going to be on how you're going to be assessed, because you'll all take the same tests. Okay. All right. Now remember, talked to you about the note-taking system. Want the notes with steps, and then on the other side is examples. And remember also, I talked a little bit, I might not have, but because I'm going to use the Education Perfect to go through the lessons, because then you can refer back to it, because all of you have access to this, I can't really model that behavior very well, and you'll see why. Well, I'll just pull up the slide and you can see. Okay. I'm going to be looking at these slides and talking to you about these things and writing on this. So you see I don't have a blank page to work from. So I can't model the behavior very well. But what I can do and will do, though, is when it's time to give you the steps, I'll make sure that I write those down as steps, right? Just on these slides. Okay? So I can't model the behavior, but I want you still to work on taking your notes that way. So the things that we look at here, and I don't want you to write down everything they say from Education Perfect, right? But for example, in your notes section, so if you had it here and separated, on your notes section, the first thing we're talking about today, of course you'd have your title up here that I already gave you, is we're going to talk about multiples, right? Okay? Then I'm going to talk a little bit about multiples, and I'll tell you what kinds of things are really important that I think you should really write down. All right? But it's not important to write down every single word they write down in Education Perfect, and it's not important to try to write down everything I say. It's going to just be too much, the explanations. Write down, but there are some things that if you don't write down, they're not going to be complete enough for you to remember. Okay? So I'm going to help you as we go. So in this lesson, we're looking at what are called multiples. If you hear the word multiples, does that remind you of any operation maybe you can think of? Maybe anybody? Just sing out, that's fine. Multiplication, right, there you go. So multiples are tied to multiplication. And when you're talking about multiples, all we're talking about is multiplying a number over and over and over and over. The same number over and over and over and over. But one thing that is important to us is that when we're looking at finding multiples is we use what's called numerical order. And I want you to write that down because for some reason, students just kind of jump around a lot. But numbers don't like that. Because if you jump around, then you might miss something. Yeah? So, numerical order. What does that mean? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So when you're working with these, always think of them as in numerical order, using them in numerical order. Now, and I'll explain about what that looks like in a moment, but think about it in order. Anytime you're doing things in mathematics, you should respect the order. Think about the alphabet. Can you say all 26 letters in the alphabet? Yeah. Could you do it out of order?
No.
Probably not, right? Some of you could. Easy. Could you do it backwards? Not kidding. Not without really thinking about it, right? But is it easy to say if you put them in order? Yep. And it's really easy to make sure you do it, right? So you see that alphabetical order, numerical order, those types of orders are there to help you. And so keep order in mind as we go through this. So don't start with 3 or 5 or 10. Start with 1. Then use, etc. Okay, got it? Make your life a lot easier. Focus, organize. That's one of the reasons we study mathematics is so we can stay organized. So here, we're looking at some multiples of 3. That means that I'm looking at numbers that are the answers I get when I multiply by 3. And they're bouncing around a little bit here. 3 times 2 gives you 6. That means that 6 is a multiple of 3. 3 times 3 gives you 9. That means that 9 is a multiple of 3, right? 3 times 5 gives you 15. That means 15 is a multiple of 3. And we'll give you a formal definition in just a minute. Right here, right now, they're just giving you an example. And they're jumping around to show you that it can be any number as long as 3 is one of the numbers that you use to multiply with. Okay? Right? Now, there are lots of ways to find multiples and to know that something is a multiple. What's the opposite operation for multiplication? Division, yeah. And in these, I'm welcome you to just sing out, okay? Guys, I know y'all are so polite and raise your hands, but just sing out if you know the answers. So it's division, yeah? Well, if you use multiplication to get there, then you can always go the other direction using division. So multiplication and division are related operations, right? Good. Okay. Let's see. What's next? So here's the definition. So here's what I want you to write in your notes. A multiple is the result of multiplying 2 whole numbers together. Okay? So 2 whole numbers. So right now we're only working in one system, the whole numbers, which means that none of these numbers are going to be integers, so they're not going to be, what are they called? Negative, right? Or opposites. Okay? All we're dealing with is the whole numbers right now. So a multiple is what is the result or what you get when you multiply 2 whole numbers together. Okay? Can you multiply lots of different numbers? You bet. Any numbers, right, can be multiplied together. So any number can be represented as a multiple. Okay. So here are some multiples of 4, and they're giving you the number, and they're also giving you what the visual representation of those numbers by using dots. So this is the number 4, so there are 4 dots, right? And notice how they stacked them in groups of 4. So this is how many groups of 4? 2 groups of 4 makes 8, right? Okay? So you're going to see these visual representations for lots of different numbers that we do. Later you're going to be doing square numbers, triangular numbers, some things like that. And so you can use these visualizations to do that. So thinking about these are multiples of 4. To get 4, that's 4 times 1, right? 8 is 4 times 2. 12 is 4 times 3. 16 is 4 times 4. 20 is 4 times. Do you see what I mean by going in order? That's what I want to see. If I ask you for the multiples of 4, then you go in order. Start with 4 times 1, 4 times 2, 4 times 3, right? And it just makes your life easier too. What if I decided to do that? I was going to 4 times 10 first, and then I did 4 times 8, then I did 4 times 6. What's likely to happen? You'll get confused and you're going to miss some of them, right? You'll leave some out. But if you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Do them in numerical order, then you'll be guaranteed to be getting all of them. Make sense? Trust me yet? Okay, we'll see. Some of you probably, I don't know. Okay. You can also do multiples on a number line by simply counting. Because every time you multiply by 4, remember that multiplication is simply repeated addition. So instead of saying 4 plus 4 plus 4, I can say 4 times 3. In other words, 4 3 times, right? I'm going to use 4 3 times. So we can do that counting. Now here they're using 3s, right? So they start with 0. And 1 3 is 3. 2 3s is 6. 3 3s is 9. 4 3s is 12. And ... means what? Goes on infinitely, you bet. Continues in that same pattern infinitely. Okay? So you can also find multiples using a number line by simply counting. Okay. Now, if I was asking you to find multiples of 1,432, would counting be a good idea? No. So you can do it, but only with smaller numbers is it really effective. Okay? All right. Now let's do some exercises using multiples. Can anybody tell me what the multiples are represented by these dots here?
2.
They're multiples of 2. Excellent. 2 times 1 gives you 2. 2 times 2 gives you 4. 2 times 3 gives you 6. Right? One of the skills that you need to be aware of is that you need to be able to see a visual representation and tell me the mathematics. So this is 2 times 1. And I'm going to explain that as well. You may have seen, most of the time multiplication is written with an X. But I teach a lot of algebra. And you can't use the X for multiplication in algebra. So another way of writing it is writing it with a dot. Have you ever seen that dot before? That dot means to multiply. And I do that a lot. I don't like the X. I like the dot. Are we okay if I use the dot for multiplication instead of the X? It may be new to some of you, but can we get there? All right? If we do, then I'll make fewer mistakes. All right? So, and later you'll see why. Now, Education Perfect uses the X. So you need to know that the dot and the X mean exactly the same thing, right? So we can agree. So, both of these mean multiplication, right? Either the dot or the X. And again, 20 years of your teaching at a university where we weren't allowed to use the X, I'm used to the dot, so I'm gonna revert back to it, and that's not fair to you if I don't explain it. Okay? Now, if you really hate that, we can always use X. You okay with the dot? Some of you are saying okay. So, if you have a question ever, raise your hand. Or if I'm jabbering away and I'm not seeing your hand, say, Mr. Self, get my attention. Because I just love to talk, can you tell? So I'll be up here talking away and not notice. So I don't want to go further or faster. If there's something I write that you don't understand, I need to know about it then. Right? Because remember, I work for you. So you're my boss. Tell me what to do. Okay, so you can see that they're just doing multiples of 2, right? 2 times 1, 2 times 2, 2 times 3, 2 times 4. These visual representations are really important. But you've probably done a lot of that in junior school, right? Where you had the pictures and then you had to tell what was happening. That's still going to occur, and it will be done on your assessment. So make sure that you know what that looks like. Okay? I better move a little faster. Here we go. Now, this is one of your exercises. This is not mine. So this is what your homework is going to look like. And so they're asking you to draw a series of arrows showing the multiples of 4 on the number line below. So you're just going to start at 0, and multiples of 4 means you go how many spaces? 4 places over and over again. So 4, then 8, then 12, and then draw just like that other line we drew. Okay? You can choose different colors for your drawing. If you have a touch screens, you can draw on this. Otherwise, you'll have to use your mouse to draw, which gets really, really messy, but it's okay. It'll know. Okay? And then once you've done it, then you can check your answer. 1, 2, 3, so 8, 12, blah, blah, blah. And then you can check your answer. Oops, see, mine was writing using a different thing, so it's not going to let me. It's showing me my drawing is wrong and then showing the example. But look at the example. Little dotted line and 3 dots. You've got to indicate that it goes on forever. You can't just draw them as many as fits. You have to indicate that it goes on forever to get it right. Okay? All right. You're going to explore and learn a lot of things about these. Education's Perfect's a pretty cool tool. Okay? Now, you will be asked to do some applications with these. But it's just multiples, so don't panic. So, David is building a deck in his backyard. Each row of the deck needs 4 pieces of wood. How many pieces of wood?
4.
Which means we're doing multiples of?
4.
There you go, right? We're in this section on multiples, so we need multiples, and it tells us how many pieces of wood. He has 47 pieces of wood, and he wants to build a deck with at least 9 rows. So, at least how many rows?
9.
So 9 is my multiplier. So I'm looking at multiples of what number?
4.
And how many rows?
9.
So that means 4 times 9. So he wants at least 4 times 9. So do I need to do 4 times 1, 4 times 2, 4 times 3? No. All I need to worry about are things that are 4 times 9, or at least means that many, or what? More. Good job. Good. At least always means start with that number and go up. Right? Okay? So we have the pieces of wood in a row times the number of rows equals how much wood we're going to need. Okay? So 4 times 9 gives us 36. 4 times 10 gives us 40. 4 times 11 gives us 44. 4 times 12 gives us 48. And they stopped there. Looking at the question, can anybody tell me why they stopped there? Oh, yeah, that's good. He has 47 pieces of wood, so we don't need any number bigger than 47. Right? So it gives you the maximum amount of numbers, of the biggest number possible, because that's how many pieces of wood he has. Each one of these represents a piece of wood. So exactly. So if you look at it, can he do 4 times 12 even? No, because that gives us 48. He doesn't have 48 pieces of wood. But why did they go ahead and do that all the way to 48? Yeah, you need to keep going until you go 1 over, so you'll know where to really stop. Because it could have been a number you could stop too soon, right? Okay, so they gave you a starting point, 9 pieces of wood, and then you just continued on until you got to the number of pieces, until you got to one that was too big. Then we don't need that one, right? So he can have either 9 rows or what? 10 rows or what? 11 rows. Can't have any more, can't have any less. Sound good? So we're just looking at multiples of numbers, right? So they'll tell you what number to use. Okay? Here's a funny way of walking. He likes to jump every 5 steps. How many steps? 5. So it's multiples of 5. Okay? They get silly with us here. So select the step numbers that Stephen will jump on. Okay? So that's then every 5 steps. Oh, whoops, sorry. If you go back and do a question, this is in your homework. So this is one of the things you're going to do. If you go back and do a question, look what happened. Now it's not 5 steps, it's 8 steps, right? So you're just going to start. Well, where do you start when you're stepping? How many steps do you take? 1. So I need 1 times 8, which is going to mean the 8th step. He's going to do it, right? 2 times 8 gives me, so on the 16th step he's going to jump. 3 times 8 gives me 24. So on the 24th step he's going to jump. Right? So we're just doing multiples. Dot, dot, dot. Depending on how far he walks, right? Okay? Everybody pretty happy with that? Finding multiples? So sometimes they give you some constraints, some rules that you can't go below this number or above this number. Other times allow you to use whatever, right? We know when you're walking, you're going to start with 1. Why? Because you got to take that first step, don't you? You can't start walking on the 3rd step, can you? Right? So you'll know that you stop in 1. Start at 1. There you go. Good. All righty. Sorry, I'm taking too long, guys. All right. Don't worry about the summaries. Now, let me talk to you a little bit, though. When I assign the homework, you're going to see that it gives you everything that you see on this side here, all that little table. But when you're doing your homework, see these yellow eyes? Those are the ones we did. That's the slides that told you the rules, the notes kind of thing, the things that we've been doing together, right? The information, you bet. Now, the pencil and the purple parts, those are the things that you'll be working on. That's your homework, right? So these are here so that if you need to go back and review, the information is there for you. Right? I'm gonna leave them in there. I can take them out, but I don't want to. Now, so what's going to happen is when you look at your homework, it's going to say it will take you approximately 45 minutes to do this assignment. Okay? Well, some of them it may say it will take you approximately an hour to do this assignment. I don't ever think it'll be that much work. But that's including if you read those problems and did the examples they did. But we've already done them. So those time estimates are wrong, okay? And the reason I'm saying that is I don't want you to go home and look at your homework and say, oh my gosh, I've got to work for 3 hours, right? I'm never doing that to you. We'll give it to you in little pieces. Now, what if you don't do your homework, 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 and then do your homework? Yeah. Is that where you want to be? No. And that's not my fault, is it? Who's to blame if you don't do your assignment? You betcha. You're only yourself, right? So, I don't want your mom calling me or your dad calling me or emailing me saying, why did you give my daughter 3 hours of homework? Because I'm going to write back and say, well, I gave her 3 hours of homework, but it was over the course of 2 weeks. She just hasn't done any of her homework. Okay? And then I will send them the picture of, because this keeps track of all the stuff you've done, including how many times you logged in and what time it was and when and everything. I will send them that picture and say, see, I assigned it here. She didn't start it until here. So, you don't want that. If your parents ask me for information, I'm going to tell them anything that they want to know. I will not send them anything like, let's say that you're having trouble with something. Sorry, I'm picking on you. And you haven't done the last 2 assignments because you have some questions and we haven't had a chance to talk about it and fix it, right? I'm not going to send your parents a thing saying she hasn't done the last 2 homework assignments. I'll never do that. But if they ask me, I'll tell them anything they want to know. I'll rat you out. Right? So, I won't ever tell on you unless we have big issues. But I will tell them if they ask me stuff. Okay? So don't let it happen. Just do your homework. Besides that, the stuff that we do today, you need to know when? The next class. So you need to get it done as quickly as possible. Right? Okay? Now, if you have lots of other work to do, don't stress yourself out about it. Get it done when you can. But don't put it off too late. Okay? Everybody okay with homework? It's a little different here, so I don't want you to be overwhelmed. Okay, how do we feel about multiples? Good? Okay, excellent. Then let's move on to factors. Now, factors, easy. Whoops. Be even easier if I hadn't done that. Okay, here we go. I got too many buttons to push on too many different screens. It's the first of the semester. So in this lesson, we're going to learn about factors. The first thing I want you to know about factors is ignore that stupid tree. I hate them. I'm going to show you another way. Actually, via Kathy, you're going to have her in for this particular section, and she's going to show you the method for finding factors. And so, but I hate the tree. Have y'all seen the factor tree before? Have you used it for stuff before? Yeah, it works, but you have to stay very organized to make sure you're using everything you need. So I'm going to show you another method, right? A new method might seem daunting, but it's really a lot easier and keeps you organized. Would you rather learn a new method and stay organized, or use the old method that makes you work harder? So I'll let you choose. If you still love the factor tree, I would never count it wrong as long as you do it right. Okay? So, and that is always true of everything we do. If I teach you something, or if Kathy teaches you something, but you use a slightly different method for it, and you get the correct answer, we're not worried about it. Okay? Because we recognize there are lots of different ways, but we want to provide you with some options, right? Okay? All right. So let's define factors. So first of all, they're just going to give you some examples. The factors of 6 are 1, 2, 3, and 6. And those are all of the factors of 6. And the reason they're called factors is that all of those numbers will divide evenly into 6. Okay? So let me just write something down for you. This is the way I usually explain factors. Say you have 2 times 3. What is 2 times 3? 6. There you go. These two numbers that are multiplied together are the factors. So factors are always connected with what operation? What does that dot mean? Multiplication. Okay? So factors are multipliers. Okay? Now the 6 is something called the product. You've heard that word before, right? The answer you get when you multiply is called a what? Product. Okay? So when you're thinking about the factors of a number, that's every number that would multiply to give you that product. Okay? So the factors of 6, and they are factors because you can find them with division. Because remember, if you create it with multiplication, you can take it apart with division. Okay? And so when you're looking at factors, you're looking at taking things apart. Now, so that's just a definition, just a kind of a what it is. Let's talk about how to do it. Okay? So a factor is a whole number that shares evenly into another number. What's another way of saying shares evenly? Divides evenly. Okay? But evenly. There can't be a remainder. Okay? So a factor is a whole number that divides evenly into another number. So you can say shares or you can say divides. But evenly needs to stay in there. right? So in your notes, I expect you to say a factor is a whole number that either shares or divides. You could put shares / divides. It means the same thing, evenly into another number. Okay? Now, when you're finding factors, to find factors, here are the steps. First set of steps, aren't you happy? Okay? Start with 1. 1 is a factor of everything. It divides evenly into every number. And any number divided by 1 is always the number itself, right? So what's 6 divided by 1? 6. Okay? Then, try 2, then 3, etc. Everybody remember what etc. means? On and 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 on forever. Yeah, kind of forever and ever and ever. Right? Same thing over and over. Stop trying when you get to the number itself. Write that down and then we'll talk about it. So start with 1, then try 2, then try 3, then try 4, etc. And you stop when you get to the number itself. Okay? They're usually written as pairs, or you can make a list. So your final answer can be written as pairs. Pairs means how many numbers? 2 is a pair, right? Or you can write them as a list. I'm going to show it to you both ways. Okay? So let's say we want to find all of the factors. So find all of the factors of 6. We'll just use 6. It's an easy, quick one. Well, if I'm going to find the factors, I'm going to start by first dividing by what number? 1. Always start with 1. 6 divided by 1 is what? So see, 6 times 1, 6 and 1, they go together as a pair. Then I'm going to try what number? 2. Will 6 divide by 2? Yes. How many times? 6 divided by 2 gives you going to be 3, right? Okay. I'm going to change your notes. I'm sorry. We're listing factors here, which is not what I give you really the notes for. Erase itself and put this. Until you get to a number somebody's having fun. That's already on your list. Forgot with factors we can stop earlier. Okay? So I just saved you some work. Okay? So after you try 2, what would you try next? 3. But what do you notice here? 3 is already on your list, isn't it? So do I need to try 3? Nope. I'm done. So what are the factors of 6? 1, 2, 3, and 6. So there it is written as a list. Here it is written as pairs. Okay? Let's look at another one just to make sure everyone's okay with that. Everybody got that written down?
No.
Because I don't have any space to... so I'm going to have to... Okay? So just start dividing by 1, then try 2, then try 3, then try 4, then try 5. But you don't need to try any number that you already have. That's how you know when to stop. But that'll only work if you go in numerical order, though. If you start bouncing around, that doesn't work. You're never going to know when to stop. So do it in numerical order. 1, 2, 3, etc. We good? Can I erase some of this now? All right, we're going to do just a different number. Same process, just a different number. Okay? So let's do a bigger number. 12. We're going to list all the factors of 12. So what am I going to start with? 1. 1 goes into 12 how many times? 12 times. Then I'm going to try what? 2. 2 goes into 12 how many times? 6. Excellent, guys. Then I'm going to try what? 3. 3 goes into 12 how many times? 4 times. Then I'm going to try 4. Or am I? Why am I not going to bother trying 4? Yeah. It's already on your list, isn't it? We don't need to try 4. We just keep going until you get a number that's on your list, and then that's when you know when to stop. So all the bigger numbers have already been accounted for. So make my list for me. What do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 12. And that is every whole number that will divide evenly into 12. Okay? Could you do it with 72? You bet. It's just going to take more numbers. Okay? Will every number always divide into every other number? Nope. So don't put it on your list if it doesn't work. So if you're doing, say, multiples of 10, 1 goes into it 10 times, 2 goes into it 5 times, but will 3 divide evenly into 10? Then don't put it on your list. Will 4 divide evenly into 10? Nope, so don't put it on your list. Will 5 divide evenly into 10? Yes, but I don't need to write it down. Why? Because it's already there. All right? Do you see how much easier that is than the factor tree? Okay? Again, my way's not always the right way. It's just the way my mind works, and I think more like a year 7 student than an adult most times anyway. So, okay? So, how's it look? We're not getting to where I need to be, though. All right, so here's some more factors. They're just doing it, and they're showing you the visual representations as well. In your homework, they may ask you to do the dots, right? So make sure you know how. Okay? And then they go into your homework. Let's see what else they did. I didn't get to prime numbers, did I? Well, I guess Kathy's going to have to work harder than me. To identify factors, that means find the factors. Identify the factors means find them. Okay? All right, so I'll set up your homework. It's not going to be right away. Oh, yeah, it's interval, isn't it? Yeah, I can do it now. See how hard I work? Instead of going down to have tea, I'm going to go to my office and make sure that y'all's stuff is done. I'm such a good person. You're going to hold on to them. Just keep them there for your information. Okay? So you do have homework. It's going to be on Education Perfect. I'm sorry we didn't get a chance to do it in class. Make sure that you can sign into Education Perfect, educationperfect.com. It'll ask you to create an account if you don't have one already. And if you have trouble getting into it, try to get into it before you leave school today, okay? So we can fix it. Now, you can hold on to that worksheet. It's just for your information. Okay? Thank you, ladies. Yes. Sorry.
What if I don't understand something? Can I still come to you?
Oh, absolutely. Come to me and find out. Ask me any questions. We also have Maths Club. Remember, Maths Club is Wednesday at lunchtime and after school. And it's in that room, C13. It's at the end of the hall.
Are you going to send it to us?
It'll just automatically appear when you sign in. Okay? But it will send you an email saying, you have homework on Education Perfect. You can probably just click right there on it. You're very welcome. Vaughn, right?
Maths Club, are you allowed to do Education Perfect?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So what time is the Maths Club?
It's at lunchtime and after school, 3:30 on Wednesdays. Okay? Thanks. Bye. Like the hat. All right. Bye. Hey, how are you?
I'm tired.
You're tired? Are you working as hard? Are you working harder this semester than you did last one?
No.
This term? Yeah? Taking it easy? Are you doing some stuff with your own year group this time?